Oh.
And now back to Understanding Spirit with your host, Alan Coxs.
Somewhere in the universe then. But I think I'm still here. Yes, it's Alan Coxs, live from the UK. Check me out on www.calmingthoughts.com. And with me is Annie Conboy. And you okay, Annie?
I'm fine. I'm really enjoying myself, Alan.
That's good. I'll tell you what. Tell everybody how they can get hold of you.
I have a website at www.gia-ltd.co.uk, or you can email me at annie@gia-ltd.co.uk. I'm on Facebook, and I'm also on YouTube under Astral Annie. So I'm sure if you need to ask anything, find me. I'm sure you will.
Right. Okay. That's brilliant.
I get found a lot, Alan.
Right. So, what is your opinion of if there's a lot of bad energies with somebody or in a place? Is it? Do you believe that it is the right thing for those to be moved on? You know, we're talking about messing with spirit, talking with spirit, communicating with spirit. Do you believe that type of thing can affect people's lives?
Funnily enough, Alan, yes. I've had one of those weeks, and I'm sure you know them well, where all the events seem to run together and you find yourself dealing with a not so pleasant side of spirit contact. One of the things that people don't acknowledge, and it would be better if they did, was that we all have psychic senses. So we can all tune into each other, and we can all tune into the energy that's around us. And some of that energy isn't very nice. If you just think about the thoughts that people send out sometimes, just think about road rage or having an argument. All of that energy goes somewhere. And it sits
That's right,
there,
it does.
And it can influence us. I also have had direct encounters with entities, spirits who are between the worlds, and poltergeist energy, which is another fascinating outpouring of energy. And
I remember, I was going to say, I remember quite some years ago where Anna and I went to do a clearing down here in the Midlands, and there's poltergeist activity, like the little transistor radios, and this would regularly fly across the room in this person's house, and even things like books and crockery and that would be thrown about. So these, I suppose, angry spirits, I suppose, is the only way to describe them, aren't they? Or frustrated in some way.
Well, coming from the psychology side of it, what I was fascinated about, Alan, was first of all being presented with experiences where I actually did have to do something. You can't leave it, if you see what I mean, because it affects people. But secondly, to start to discover a range of, I like to call them energy beings. It's a little bit easier to explain. One of the fascinations for me about poltergeist activity is that it's very often centred around teenage years. You usually find a very psychically gifted or open teenager in the middle of it all.
That's very strange you should say that, because at the time that we went there, The daughter was in her late teens, and she got a baby son. But yes, I hadn't really thought about it like that. She had teens.
Yeah, it does seem to focus around that age. Now, one of the things one of the pieces of work that I do is to try to explain to people the cycle of psychic energy we go through in our lifetime. And when we hit puberty, it's not just our physical body that gets a surge of energy, it's our psychic body as well. That very often manifests itself in either extreme poltergeist energy that's from ourselves, our feelings are being made manifest, that they're coming real faster, so you can get your own anger creating effects, or you can attract the wrong kind of energy beings who build on that energy and create physical phenomena. And when I'm investigating anything, the first thing I try and sort out is, have I got a person at the middle of all of this activity who's psychically open and who is maybe suffering the impact of lots of energy beings coming in and saying, oh, let's play with this person. Because they are mischievous, naughty, and in some instances bad. So I always look to the person at the centre, see if I can find where this comes from, and if necessary, help them to become clear of any energies, help them to balance themselves. If I then find I've got negative beings or energy beings, they usually, for me, fall into two categories. The first category is those spirits who are between the worlds. They're still earthbound, call it on the astral plane if you like. They have left their physical life, but for whatever reason they don't wish to go into the spirit. It may be that they've been told all their life they're going to get hell and damnation. They may be frightened of being judged. They may be the kind of people that were so bad here they don't want to go off and be made beings of light. They can be shifted if absolutely necessary, and they
yes,
can
that's
also
right.
be sent to the light if absolutely necessary. They do have to consent in some way, I feel. But we have another block of energy beings. These are, in my experience, the energy beings who have become conscious and aware and in some shape or form alive, and they are made up of all those horrible energy thoughts we send out, all the hate, the lust, the anger, the fear. That, over the thousands of years we've been on the planet, has become live. They can't go to the light, to spirit, because they've never been there, and they are much more difficult to deal with, but they can be dealt with. All of these can be dealt with. I know yourself, you do this work, and you like me have been put in positions where willingly or unwillingly you're presented with it and you have to deal with it. But I always come back to the person in the middle. Is that person psychically open and just not aware of how to help themselves? Are you with me?
Yes, I am, yeah. Was that Kelly, or was that a poltergeist?
I'm sorry, I didn't know my mic was on, sorry.
It's okay. That's a poltergeist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was so quiet, I didn't know my mic was on, sorry.
It's all right, Kelly. That was from the other side, folks, that is. That's proof that there's life on the other side.
This here's Ronald Reagan, and I approve this message.
Oh, dear. I'll apologise on his behalf for you, Anna.
That was just a little bit of an EVP there for anybody who's looking for a paranormal happening.
So I'm sorry. What were you saying?
My sense of it is very much you need to sort that out. You can't not help somebody in that position to at least understand and to try to talk with or deal with whatever energy is around them, because those energies can affect us. And I do believe that we have to help, whether we believe in the energy beings or not. I still feel we have to help,
Yes.
and be a part of moving things on, moving us on, and helping the person who may be stuck with that energy or that entity. Quite often, and this is the fascinating thing, quite often on another sort of strand of this work, when I go somewhere, somebody will say, oh, come and look at the house, I think I've got a ghost, or I'm hearing this or that or whatever. Quite often when I go, it's interesting to find that it is a spirit from the spirit world trying to make contact and just trying to get a message through. And sometimes being able to explain to the person whose house it is, well, there's nothing bad. They just want you to know this, and this, can really help as well.
Do you find you get many people asking you who have these kind of problems?
It isn't a huge part of my work, but it is significant, and I'm back to the sense for me that many more people are receiving information through their psychic senses, the aura energy that we have around us, than perhaps ever realise it. Our rational mind dismisses things and says, oh no, that couldn't be, it must be the wind, it must be a creaky gate or whatever. And they do dismiss it, and that's fine if they can do that. But for some people, it's become too much, and they need to find an answer.
I was going to say, Annie, you say it's not the main part of your work. What do you define what it is that you're about, and what gives you the most pleasure when you somebody has come to you and they seem to be finding answers? What part of it gives you the most satisfaction?
Ooh, that's a hard question, Alan. Mainly because I love everything I do. I'm very fortunate to be doing a job that I passionately enjoy doing. I feel if I had to put one thing above anything else, for me it would be the ability to help people understand what's happening, to teach, to be able to explain and offer an explanation. It may not be the answer that they want, or it may not fit for them, but to be able to put a viewpoint so that that person can go away and be able to say, well, that could be it. I'll see if that's it. Maybe I need to look over here, though, because that's another part of it. Opening minds, I think, is the fun bit of it.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. In lots of things, I do find that's the reason that person's in front of me, or the reason that experience is in front of me, because it's to put an alternative viewpoint and let somebody ask as many questions as they like.
It's strange. Do you find that when people are asking you questions, that the answers come through you, not from your own mind, but they come through from spirit? Sometimes you're talking and answers are there that perhaps you hadn't really thought of, but they're coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, I think that's the most amazing thing of all, Alan.
It is, isn't it?
It's a bit stunning when it happens at first, and you think, what? Where did that come from? But actually, I started to tape a lot of my workshop stuff because I was getting answers to my questions, and I didn't have those answers inside of me. They were just coming in what I was saying. And I do find that if I just let my mouth do the talking, never mind the brain, then some fascinating stuff comes through.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? You see, because when either you're giving somebody a reading, or you're doing a talk, or you're doing like a class or something like that, although people look at you and they say, right, okay, you're the teacher, the truth is you're getting you're being taught lessons yourself, aren't you? Even when you're talking to people.
Very much so. For me, I think that the way that spirit work is to take our knowledge, help us to expand it, and then teach us while we're using that knowledge to help others. And some of the things that I've channeled, because I call that channeling, Alan, there's no other way for it.
That's right.
It's come into my words without really passing through my conscious brain. Some of the things that they've gifted me, explanations, have been amazing, because they're explanations to me, if you see what I mean.
Yes.
And for me, the way that they can do that, if you are willing, and then it doesn't matter where you are, you find perhaps that you've gone into this channeling mode, but the person goes away having heard something they really needed to hear. That's awesome stuff.
Yes. Yes, it is. So, have you had people who have kind of stayed with you, or do you find that people come in for help and perhaps stay for a few weeks, a few months, and then go on their own way? What's your experience of that?
I find that probably 70% of the people who, certainly on a teaching level, I work with will access what I can offer, and then be taken on to find the next step in their path.
Yes.
I have about a 30% people who have stayed and who continue to work with me to do their development, or to enhance their mediumship, or to work alongside of me. Some of the people that I've trained now work alongside of me. And a kind of, I suppose, a core group, because I do run development circles, so a core group of people who are with me, if you see what I mean.
Yes.
And then others who are just accessing me as necessary. Where my readings and messages are concerned, I have probably the similar sort of figures, 25%, 30%, who are repeat, who will come back because I've contacted in the way they need in the past.
Do you find that if somebody keeps coming back for readings, and it's probably, I think this happens to most people, and the more you get to know about a person, the harder it is to be objective and to dissociate yourself. So the messages that are actually coming through are from spirit, and you're not putting your own interpretation on it.
It is always something to be watchful about. As you get to know a person, or as they have readings with you, it would be very easy to let your own interpretation come in, and you have to have the discipline to stand outside of that and try and switch off the rational brain and just let things come out of your mouth.
Especially if somebody's going through a very hard time, and you get to know them, and you want their suffering or their trauma or whatever to go away, and somebody's asking you, you know, will it, how much longer is this going to happen, or is that person going to stop doing this to me? And I suppose being human, it's very tempting to say, oh yes, everything will be okay, and then it becomes even harder to turn around and say, well, you know, you've got a lot more of this rubbish to come. It's a difficult one, that is, isn't it?
It is. One of the bargains I make with Spirit is I say, well, don't tell me that everything's going to be cruddy, because I could easily say that. I could tell them that just because life is.
That's right.
So I always ask for things that I can highlight that will change and be positive. There's absolutely no point in giving somebody more doom and gloom in a message. Right. You may have to be honest and say, well, look, that'll never happen, or there's some resistance to that, or I'm not really seeing that as an option for you. You may have to be honest in that way, but you have to offer hope. That's my view.
Yes.
We have to offer hope. We have to encourage the spirit world to offer hope, because they can see further and they can make sense of it better than we can. So my team who work with me and guide me know very well that if a spirit comes to me, I want an honest reading, but I don't want it to be full of misery.
That's right.
That's not worth somebody coming to me. They need to know what the good bits are going to be.
You see, the thing is, life, as you say, you know, you can't get a perfect scenario that's going to just go on and on like that, because life is about learning. The negative is much a part of life as the positive, isn't it? If something negative happens to you, then the right thing to do is to take something positive from it, isn't it? Not allow it to control and ruin your life.
I always take the view that life is about bending us, but not about breaking us.
That's right.
If we choose to break, and I go back to this principle of free will, if we choose to break, then we will.
That's right.
If we choose to say, I'm not going to be broken,
then
we'll find the hope and the positive.
I think we're going to take a break now again, Annie, and we can come back and see where our conversation takes us after.